Today, we're going to talk about why a marketing virtual assistant should be your first hire. So, before we do that, I want to talk about what we consider a marketing virtual assistant. So, for us, a marketing VA is someone who can do things like edit your YouTube videos and transcribe them and upload them and make sure your SEO score is 100. It's someone who can take clips from your video and create amazing social media posts or create quote cards from your video content and create social media posts. It's someone who can email out your video. It's someone who can actually create additional original content for your Facebook group or for any of your social platforms, as well as help you with your email marketing and your blogging. So when we think about a marketing virtual assistant, we're thinking about your foundational marketing. It's often known as top of funnel marketing. It's often called inbound marketing, but it's what's going to let people know who you are and the fact that you're the authority in your space. And that's really important because if you don't have that great foundation for your marketing, it makes it really hard to do other things. And so a marketing virtual assistant is absolutely the best person to bring on initially, because again, they can help you get your message out there so quickly, so concisely, saving you so much time, but allowing you to create more content than you could ever do alone.
I love that. And so true. I mean, the talent that is out there and the fact that, I hate to say it, but that you really need to be on different platforms, especially when we're not just talking about social media, we're talking about all the different social media platforms. And then we're talking about email and we're talking about YouTube and, we're talking about blogging.
It really was kind of that concept of pick one platform and just really master it. And some people will still say that's their strategy. And to some extent, that's also our strategy. We believe that you start with YouTube, have that as your primary platform. But because you have all of this great content in each YouTube video, it doesn't make sense not to repurpose it so you are showing up on different platforms. Because again, so many people are on different platforms throughout the day. There are a lot of people who are on Facebook, they're also on Instagram, they're on TikTok, so they're in a lot of different places. Or some of the people that may have been your ideal clients who were always on Facebook 5 years ago are no longer on Facebook. They spend more of their time on Instagram or Pinterest. So to be able to have great content in all of those places, and if your virtual assistant is doing that for you, that frees you up to have the conversations with people and to connect with people and to engage with people and to build the real relationships, which is really what social media is all about, right? The relationship building. And I feel like the people that I check out and they've got really great content out there, I get to know who they are, what they stand for. I get a feeling if they're really passionate about what they do and they really know what they're talking about. Those are the people that I'm going to have a conversation with. Those are the people that I'm going to reply to in the DMs and I'm willing to jump on a call with. And that's one of the reasons why we think that a marketing virtual assistant is so important, because they can help you get all of that foundational marketing set up so that then you're ready to do other things, like starting a DM appointment setting strategy. And sometimes you have the marketing virtual assistant that you have doing your foundational marketing, your inbound marketing, they can start to do that outreach for you, that outbound marketing, because they know your content so well. They've gotten to know you so well.
Yeah, and they can also be a huge part of your branding because, you may have selected your logo and your colors and your fonts, but if that's not cohesive across all of your platforms, then you're not going to look as professional as you should look. And I'm not saying that's something, you might not have done it because you don't enjoy it or you don't know how to do it or, which is fine. But then you need to have someone, you need to hire someone who is excellent at that and make you look like the amazing, talented professional that you are.
And it's a stepping stone to be able to do everything else. And again, if you have a really good foundational marketing plan and a great marketing VA, eventually that is something else they can help you with. So the point we always like to make to people is starting with the marketing virtual assistant to help with your inbound marketing. It's going to help you start to build your email list with great lead magnets. It's going to help you start getting people to book calls because you're putting great content out there. But it's also going to allow you to then have that person help you with some more advanced strategies. And I think that's key to taking your business to the next level. I think it's very hard to skip the foundational part But when we use the term marketing virtual assistant, we really start with foundational marketing, but then there's so many other things that they can do for you, whether that's helping you create amazing lead magnets. Because again, if they're editing your video and they're creating your social media posts, they know your branding, they know the images to use, they know what you like. So it makes it really easy for them to lay out and design your lead magnet. They can also set up your funnel for you. Again, helping you get the things done that are not the best use of your time. And so again, a marketing virtual assistant, in our opinion, is the best hire. Now, Jeannie, your first hire was actually a bookkeeper.
So handing off a task like that, just like I was handing off bookkeeping, because that does not make me happy. Every day coming in, seeing that pile of receipts on my desk was just draining me and draining my energy. And so when I finally handed that off to someone, it was like this huge cloud had been lifted, like this huge boulder was on my shoulders. And now I was free to be more creative. I was free to get excited about what I wanted to create for my clients and finding the right clients and to get it out there and to get it to look professional and to get it in front of the right people.
But the reality is, even for Jeannie, a lot of times, even though she loves doing graphic design and she's great with all of our software, it again is just not the best use of her time. And then for someone like me who doesn't want to do it, like I've never logged into our Canva account, but it doesn't matter if you're like me or you're like Jeannie. If you're at a point where you realize there's only so many hours in the day and you either don't want to work yourself to death to the point of burnout, or you're afraid if you don't work yourself to the point of burnout, you're not going to have enough business coming in, then you may want to consider, moving in a different direction. It's so amazing. I think like some of the conversations that you and I have is that, if you are creative and capable like Jeannie, sometimes it's harder to hand it off. And so Jeannie and I always have these great conversations, because if we're doing something and she really wants to design it herself because maybe she has an image in her mind or she just hasn't been in that creative space for a while, then absolutely, that's what she does, right? But there's other times we have this conversation and she's like, yeah, I'd like to do it, but at the same time, I've got other things I need to get done for the business, so I'm going to hand it off. And what's really cool is we have great conversations about sometimes content will come back that someone else has created for us, and we're both like blown away. And Jeannie's like, I would have never thought to do that. Or we're like, we love how she did that. So sometimes even if you are capable and you are very creative, it's really fun to have someone else who's creative, who's doing this work for you, and then brings back things that, again, not better than what you would do, but just different, right? Because there's all these different creative minds and not everyone is going to create the exact same thing. And I think with social media, in some ways, that's really important because you want things to be on brand, but at the same time, sometimes it can become repetitive. Because if you're busy just putting things together, it's easy to grab the same template, just make a couple changes. Where if you have a marketing virtual assistant, they're going to be able to keep everything on brand, but make it very unique.
Whereas your head is probably in all these other places. I got to help this client with that, or I've got a meeting for that. I got to do some research, or I've got to do that. You're thinking about your business and your clients so they can take care of being creative with your marketing. I hate to say that. Sales is great and very important, but if you don't get in front of the right people and show, who you are and what your business believes in, then you'll never get the opportunity to sell them.
So now that you guys know that Jeannie is a marketing person and loves marketing, the other question people often ask, or the fear that they have, is can I really hire someone to do things that I don't know how to do? And the answer is emphatically yes. You can hire someone who is great at video editing and fantastic in Canva and has great design skills, who can do a great job for you, even though those are skills you don't have and that you're completely incapable of doing. Because the bottom line is you act as the director, right? In most cases, you already have your brand colors, you have your fonts, you have your logo. So as long as you give that person access to those things, and you can tell them who your avatar is, who is your ideal client person, who is that person that you want to actually get in front of and talk to, so they know what type of images to use and what type of B-roll to use. That person can create content, and all you're doing is directing them. So if you can learn to really manage someone by telling them what you like and what you dislike, and eventually they'll get to know that, and then they can do a great job consistently. So I think that's a fear a lot of people have about hiring someone to be able to do something that they can't do, which is, and I get that. It is hard. It's hard to feel like Well, can I trust someone to do things that I can't do? Because there are a lot of people out there who talk about you should know how to do everything in your business before you outsource anything. And I can't say that that's wrong. I mean, obviously, it's right for that person who's saying it. It's 100% wrong for me. I learned early on in life that you should delegate the things that you don't want to do so you can spend more time doing what you're really good at, where you can have the biggest impact and how you can help the most people and have a lot of joy in your life. In that process of delegating and helping your virtual assistant, know what type of content to create for you, you're also getting this great opportunity to see someone else's joy. Because the virtual assistants that we get to work with and our clients get to work with, they love doing all the editing. They love social media marketing. They just love it, and giving them feedback and getting things to that next level of ready to approve and ready to post. So it's very joyful experience for me, somebody who doesn't want to do it, to work with someone who is passionate and loves doing it, because we're both happy. I'm spending most of my time doing what I want to do. They're spending most of their time doing what they want to do and what we really enjoy doing and what we're good at doing.
So the next question people always ask is, how can I afford that? Sounds fantastic. And it's going to cost me a small fortune that I don't have because I'm not making the money, because I don't have the time to work with all the clients. So what would you say to that?
Well, again, nothing in life is free. So, Jeannie and I help our clients hire virtual assistants because there's two things. There's two parts to what does it cost you. Actually, there's three parts to what does it cost you to hire a virtual assistant. The first part is the time and energy to put together a job description, a job post it, and go through the interviewing process. So that's your first investment, is you figuring that out and spending your time doing that. That's your first cost. Your second cost to having a virtual assistant is obviously what you're going to pay them. And we generally work with people out of the country, so we're looking at $200 to $400 a month to have an amazing virtual assistant. But the third cost is the time that you're going to spend training and managing your virtual assistant. So you have to onboard them, give them all the tax forms and all the proper documentation. Then you need to start training them by giving them the things that they need, access to all of your information, your logos, your passwords, and making sure that you're doing that safely. And then you have to train them on what you're looking for. And if you haven't set up a structure, like if you're already doing your video editing and doing all of your production of content, and you've already created a really good structure that's documented, then it'll make it easier for you, because you can just teach that virtual assistant the structure that you use to manage, all of your content production. But if you haven't done that, then that's something you have to create. And again, that takes time. So I think the investment, and I think this is why a lot of people, again, don't hire, is either they don't have the time to learn how to hire, like they don't have the time to invest in figuring out how to hire, the job description. The third part is the problem with training and managing. And we hear so often people say, oh, I hired and it was more work than it was worth. I hired and I don't see the point. If I have to tell them what to do and that's going to take all my time, I should just do it myself, right? And so it has to be this magic of the three things that you need to have is an efficient way to hire the right person. And then the third part is have the workflow and the structure in place so that you can manage them quickly and efficiently. So many of our clients have had local businesses, but once they get their marketing virtual assistant up and running, we see them creating courses and membership sites, or we have clients who already have a course. And then the next thing you know, they're creating additional products or services to sell. So when you have a marketing virtual assistant, there's also this exchange of creative energy. Now, all of a sudden you have a support person who is a creative person who's helping you really craft your messaging and getting that out there. And just that concept often leads to this excitement of coming up with other products or services to sell. Yeah.
It breaks my heart when we hear people say, I hired someone and, it was awful. And, and I hate to say it, but that can often be a management problem because like Kirsten said, it's great to get all excited about bringing someone on. Yes, this is what I need. But you also need to know, what are they going to do? So it makes sense that, if you are going to hire someone, you need to set up a system and process before you hire them. Yeah. And so, as long as you're willing to do that, there's every chance in the world that you're going to have. So it breaks our heart when we hear it didn't work out. And I would venture to say that some of that is definitely on the boss, the business owner, because you're not stepping into the management, to the ownership role, and helping them and coaching them and giving them a path to follow, because they don't know. They don't know unless you tell them.
So the fact that Jeannie was able to build a virtual team to run her marketing agency, which is actually the workflows and the structure that we share with our clients to manage their marketing virtual assistants. If you don't go down that path, and again, it was a lot of hard lessons. We definitely learned the hard way, but each time we failed, whether it was hiring the wrong person or not doing a good job at managing them or creating structure that wasn't quite right, because I feel like when you're creating structure like workflows, it's something that's constantly being improved until you get it to the point where it's like, there it is, we've arrived, right? It's the perfect workflow. It doesn't happen overnight, and so that was something that with our marketing agency, we had to figure out, that you have to be flexible in the beginning because your workflows have to constantly evolve and improve. And you have to give yourself a lot of grace, because we probably hired 10, 15 people before we probably really figured it out. Some of them were good, some of them were not, some of them were probably great. We had to take responsibility for where we failed. But by doing that, we just ended up having this love of like meeting all these people around the world and bringing them onto the team and realizing, how much higher your profit margin can be when you're outsourcing overseas. So your profit margin can go down through some big, as you go up a little bit, but then your profit margin should go back to where you want it to be, or you should continuously work on that. And so I think that's the other thing about outsourcing, is it gives you an opportunity to really improve your bottom line. But I guess that's why we like hiring marketing virtual assistants overseas, because it's affordable when you are tight on money, and it helps your profit margin when you are making money. And I think it's just amazing that the talent around the world can really help us grow our businesses and also provide great jobs for people in different countries.
Absolutely. So having heard all of this, if you're now saying, you know what, I can do that. That's something that I want to do in my business. I want to hire a marketing virtual assistant, because now I see the light. I see how much they can do for me and what a great asset they can be in my business.